Hello everyone and welcome back to the Division 2. Today I've got an all new style to run Striker and it happens to be my personal favorite way to farm with it. As with all my builds, this one has no expertise rolled onto anything, so this build will work even better than how you're seeing it work in the video. Until the making of this build, I had never used this specific talent that makes this build so crazy. I misread and misunderstood it, and we'll take a look at that in just a second. Let's start off with the Striker. The four pieces of Striker that we're going to be using is the mask, the gloves, the holster, and the knee pads. For the 2 and 3 piece set bonuses, we're going to get a 15% weapon handling bonus and a 15% rate of fire increase. And with that, we get access to the 4 piece bonus, Striker's Gamble. This is a talent that is only active whenever you have all 4 pieces of Striker equipped, and what it's going to do for us is increase our weapon damage by up to 65%. Striker's Gamble will get to that point of giving us up to 65% increased weapon damage by giving us plus 0.65% weapon damage every time we land a shot on an enemy. Once we land 100 shots and if no stacks have deteriorated, that's the 65% increased weapon damage. We can actually increase this even further, but for that we need to talk about the chest piece. The chest piece that we're going to be using is the Walker Harris brand set. The reason we're going to be using the Walker Harris chest piece instead of the Fenris one is that 5% weapon damage applies to all weapons and is multiplicative, whereas the 10% on the Fenris is only applicable to the assault rifle class, and it's actually worth slightly less than this 5% weapon damage is. We're rolling it all red with weapon damage, critical hit chance, and critical hit damage, and the talent Obliterate. Obliterate fundamentally works the same way as the Striker's Gamble does, except for the stacks are worth 1% increased weapon damage and they stack up to 20 times. But with Obliterate, you have to land critical hits. Critical hits are the only hits that count towards the stacks. With talents like these, you really want to build up your stacks as fast as possible because the time between you getting your stacks and putting out the high levels of damage could make the difference between life and death. And that's why we're going with our secondary weapon, the ACS-12. The ACS-12 actually isn't the best choice for this, and if you want to know why, you need to check out this video. The link is down in the description. Now, we're using the ACS-12 because it's an automatic shotgun, and each pellet counts as its own shot whenever you're using a talent like Obliterate or Striker's Gamble. I run it with an additional 5% rate of fire as a secondary attribute, and this is because you want to build those stacks as fast as possible. The ACS-12 is not meant to be your primary weapon. This is purely to get stacks as fast as possible. But to compensate and add a little more damage, I run it with the talent Optimist. Using an automatic shotgun as a secondary is completely up to you. If you want to play it on the safe side, you could run it with a Vector or like the Ouroboros or some kind of other SMG, just to make sure you're playing it safe if enemies happen to push in too close. I just find that I like the AR that I'm using anyway. I wouldn't want to be switching off to an SMG, so I run the shotgun to compensate for the lack of an up close and personal weapon. There isn't really any vulnerability to worry about there anyway, because with your AR you'll be doing so much damage that the enemy will probably become staggered upon pushing too close to you, resulting in an easy kill. But the AR in question, and my personal favorite that's in the game, the Police M4. The Police M4 offers a controllable yet high rate of fire. This is very advantageous for anybody who's using a Striker Obliterate combo. We want the 10% damage to targets out of cover, of course, because we are a solo player, and for the talent, we want this beautiful new one the developers just geniusly put into the game, Streamline. This is going to increase our weapon damage by 42% when there's no skills on cooldown. From the 65% increased weapon damage from the Striker, the 20% increased weapon damage from Obliterate, and the 42% increased weapon damage from Streamline, we're ending up with 127% increased weapon damage. This is only our base weapon damage. This isn't including headshot damage or critical hit damage, or even our damage to targets out of cover. But with all of this damage, it's pointless if we can't stay alive. We need a little bit of survivability, which is why it is my pleasure to introduce you to the piece and the talent that I have never used until this build. This talent is going to be on a Grupo backpack. We want to be using a Grupo backpack because it comes with the one-piece brand set bonus of 13% increased critical hit damage. Naturally, we want to have critical hit damage and chance rolled onto the backpack, but that's not what we're here for. We're here for this amazing talent, Bloodsucker. Before this point, I just assumed that Bloodsucker was a trash talent that only gave you 10% bonus armor, and maybe you could get to max stacks before it went away, but the enemies would just keep taking it down before you could build it up. But Bloodsucker is so much more than that. If you have 3 stacks of the Bloodsucker, which is each worth 10%, if all of that gets taken away, but you get another kill, you get an additional 40% bonus armor. It just keeps stacking and refreshing like that. In other words, if you kill 10 enemies and there's still more around within the 10-second time limit, you'll basically have a 100% armor on kill, and that's bonus armor, so it stacks on top of what you already have. With a talent like this, you can turn any type of build that you happen to have into a barcode build. Before we move on to talk about the specialization and the stats, let's look at the full build. Here's the full build. I think it's fair to note that if you're going to be trying to run solo legendary content with this build, you probably don't want to be using Streamline so you can actually use your skills, and if you go down, have the Revive Hive, you don't want to be missing out of that talent for 3 minutes. The talent recommendations that I would have for you is Killer, Measured, and Optimist. I would lean more toward the Optimist and the Measured because Killer might not be active, where Optimist and Measured are active all of the time. Now how about that specialization? And for the specialization, we're going to be using Gunner. This works perfectly because with the Striker gear set, we naturally already get an increased rate of fire, and we can increase that further by 5% anytime we get a kill, and this will last for 5 seconds with Barrage. And on the other side, we have Incessant that gives 10% armor on kill, which is just going to make the Bloodsucker talent even stronger. And this is because, say we get low on armor, we can restack that bonus armor over and over again, as well as heal ourselves with Incessant. Then of course you have the Banshee Pulse if you so choose to use it, and Emplacement, which will increase your weapon handling by 10% if you're not moving for 1 second. For the first part of our stat review, we have 2 armor cores, 4 damage cores, 5 critical hit chance attributes, 3 critical hit damage attributes, 1 critical hit chance mod, and 2 critical hit damage mods. On the second half of our stat review, we have 59% critical hit chance, 117% critical hit damage, 10% damage to targets out of cover, 75% headshot damage, and 21% increased damage to health. Thank you guys so very much for watching this video, and thank you guys for getting us past that 2,000 subscriber marker. That's monumentous for this channel. If you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and there's plenty of other content that I am trying and working on getting better at, so if you have any tips to help me do better in my videos or in the Division 2 even, please let me know in the comments down below. And with that, and again my thanks, that's gonna do it for this video. I hope, as always, to see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye!
Agent incapacitated. Immediate medical assistance needed.